What would you say if I told you that this elbows up, Canada strong movement wasn't actually about helping the Canadian people at all? You've probably seen it by now. A lot of liberal boomers are getting super hyped up about hating America or about Mark Carney and the Liberals or something, or just not being American. It's very unclear. Is this movement about just hating Donald Trump? Is it about protecting our economic interests? Is it about protecting our Canadian people? Oh, we run into some problems there because we can't really decide who our people are. What do I mean? Well, nearly half of Canadians favor mass deportations, and 65% think there are too many immigrants. And on top of that, there's going to be nearly 5 million people with expiring visas who are expected to voluntarily leave Canada in the next year. That'll be 1/8 of the Canadian population here illegally. So when we say Canadian people, what do we actually mean? The people who just got here, or the people who helped protect and build this country historically? And what would happen if there was a group of young men who were standing up for the people who were here historically and built this country? Well, spoiler alert, they're going to get called right-wing extremists. This photo was posted on Twitter over the weekend. It was in front of a cenotaph in Halifax, Nova Scotia. These young men say, "Our people, our home, our future." They got a red ensign on their flag, and some of them are wearing masks. The local MP, Darren Fisher, has chimed in and says, "Let's be clear, this was not a peaceful protest. There is no peace in hate. There is no excuse, no justification, no room for neutrality. This was a white supremacist hate rally, and we must call it what it is." And I'm kind of left puzzled. How... It looks like they just recorded a video and they're just standing there with the sign. How is this not peaceful? And also, where is the hate? If you're prioritizing your people in your home, how is that hateful exactly? Boom. Okay, there we go. Is that better? You know, Jewish people, Jewish home, Jewish future, we're Zionists. That's fine, right? That's totally fine. We actually love that. Actually, if you disagree with this, you're actually a Hamas terrorist, right? Speaking of hatred, though, let's see what some of the Facebook comments said. "Firing squads would be perfect here. The best thing to do with them is drown them in ice cold water. Man, are they looking to die showing up in Dartmouth? All it takes is a couple phone calls and all those guys end up in the ER. Oh my God. Rope and bricks for all of them. Perfect time of year too. Someone should pick them off one by one. Boneheads. Only good bonehead is a beaten and bloody bonehead." So sorry. Who are the hateful ones again? I'm just trying to keep up here. And I love this comment. "If you believe in something, why do you have to wear a mask? Maybe you're a coward." Or maybe these young men realize the insane amount of hatred and death threats they're going to get for having a simple opinion. The opinion or belief that Canada is a nation of people who have a specific culture, background, heritage, ancestry, and ethnicity, as signified by the red ensign. Apparently that simple belief is enough to get people to want to kill you, if you dare to have a sign that kind of denotes this, wanting to prioritize your own people. The local MP also said for a hate group to rally there is an insult to that sacrifice and an attack on the very values Canada stands for. Does this MP really think that the names of the dead soldiers on this cenotaph would agree with the post-nationalism of Trudeau and Poilievre? A Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian. Anyone from anywhere can do anything. Doesn't matter if your name is Martin or Muhammad. Doesn't matter if you just got here from Punjabi and don't speak English. You're a Canadian too. You think the men on that cenotaph who sacrificed their lives for this country, you think they would agree with that? No, the soldiers back then would have just been as liberal progressive as us. They would have loved Drag Time Story Hour. And the thing is, folks, you're allowed to disagree with this. You're allowed to disagree with their belief in what this nation is, being a nation of people. However, it should be notable the amount of hatred that these men receive and why they do have to cover their face. And I mean, isn't it interesting that we welcome all these protests about Israel, Palestine, Iran, all these foreign nations? Those protests about foreign people's interests in foreign countries, we welcome that with open arms here in Canada. But the second it's a domestic protest about the actual people who live here standing up for their actual rights here, that gets branded as the worst possible hatred. We don't want the people who actually live here standing up for themselves. Go stand up for some other country, not. And this is nothing new. We saw this at the trucker convoy when Canadian people stood up for their bodily autonomy and basic rights, and they got branded as, once again, right-wing extremists. And of course, inevitably, people are going to call them feds, and I think that's a way to discredit them and what their beliefs are. No, they're not feds, although the feds will definitely try to infiltrate them. And I do think that it is a valid criticism to say, like, is this the best approach to represent these ideas? Because the masks are a little scary for people. But people are now talking about it. Immigration, demographic change. This is something we should be mentioning during this election cycle. I think Canadians are a distinct people. Nope, sorry, you're hateful. We want to kill you. And also you're a Fed. Great.